Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Eros and I am the doll maker. Today we will start to talk about symbology and correspondences. So, forgive me if I will read more than usual, and since a part of the team is taking care of the subtitles, if I am not so clear, please activate the subtitles here in the options somewhere around here. In this video, we will analyze the basic principles, the basic properties of the elements. Of course, there will be no time to get too deep into the study of every single element, but fear not, because there will be a specialized video, a specialistic video for each one of them, of all of the elements coming soon. We just need to understand spell work first, and we will take in consideration only what we really need for spell work in this occasion, in this lesson. So, what I would really want you to do is to take your notes, not to memorize correspondences like in memory exercise, but to try to dive deep into the essence of the element, to feel the true essence of each element. Starting, if you want to understand its power, what the element can do for you in your life and in your magical practice. Before we begin, we need to understand that in this tradition, in our tradition, we work with 5 elements and not 4. The 5th being spirit, which act as the basic force allowing the elements to work all together, while also, of course, existing in the separate way. But for the purpose of elemental spell work, we will use only the 4 physical elements. We just need to start understanding the spirit element for our basic understanding and for the purpose of acknowledging it, since we will need the spirit of element for some of our future techniques, especially rituals. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the elements in order from the most ethereal to the most solid. Let's begin with air. Air is corresponding to the cardinal direction of the east. The color yellow, but also white, violet or light blue in some tradition. We are always going to use yellow because, of course, any shade of blue will be related to water in our tradition. Air is corresponding to the season of spring and the magical weapon or the magical tool, depending on how you want to call it, of the Athame or Athame, or what we actually call the dagger, the blade. Now, the blade is not particularly right. The dagger is more precise. We will call on the element of air in magic when we need to influence communication, intuition, intellect, or more in general, mind in any way, either yours or another one. There are a lot of herbs related to hair. Some of the most common to find are, according to our tradition, based on my research and experiments. You may have different opinions or different grimoires or herbaries, but in our tradition, the most easy to find herbs related to hair are lavender, sage, oregano, anise and star anise, and nutmeg. Of course, we will see more herbs on the advanced video about hair. These are the easiest to obtain, to find. The traditional metal related to hair is copper, even though in some hermetic tradition mercury is a much more common option. Not so easy to obtain and to use. Beware that mercury is toxic. If you are into crystals, you may want to use, related to earth, amethyst, citrine, lapis lazuli, topaz, or sapphire. I generally represent air with a feather when I need to do so for certain rituals. Now, enough with the basic correspondences about air, because otherwise I will go on for too long for each element. So let's continue with fire. Fire is correspondent to the cardinal direction of the south, the color red. Even though some practitioners also include various shades of warm colors. Fire is correspondent to the season of summer, the hottest season, of course, and the magical weapon or magical tool, as you prefer, related to fire is the wand or the staff in some tradition, but usually the wand. We will call on fire in magic when we need to set things in action, when we want to stimulate action, or when we want an event to happen, or when we want to stimulate desire in someone or toward something, or even when we want to kindle or rekindle passion, even in ourselves, of course. Again, a lot of herbs are related to fire in our tradition. We will take in consideration only the easier to obtain in this video. And we will start with bay or laurel, depending on how you want to call it, basil, chili pepper, black pepper, cloves, rosemary, and the traditional metal we use for fire is iron, but sometimes you will also find gold in some grimoires. If you are into crystals, you may want to work with amber, tiger's eye, garnet, obsidian, carnelian, fire agate, and fire opal. For the rituals that require a representation of fire, I generally use a little lit candle, sometimes even a basic lavic / volcanic stone. Let's now talk about the element of water. Water is related to the cardinal direction of the west, the color blue. But you may want to even use aquamarine. Water is corresponding to the season of autumn and the magical weapon or magical sword of the chalice. We call on water in magic when we need to work with emotion, either solving problems related to our emotion, or when we need to instigate emotions in others, or mitigate emotions in others, of course. The easier herbs to acquire related to water in our tradition are rose, daisy, chamomile, licorice, catnip, lemon, and lily. The traditional metal related to water is silver. I know. It's not as cheap as the other ones. Can't do anything about it. And if you want to use crystals on the element, about the element of water, you may pick from aquamarine, pearl, moonstone, or in my opinion even better, river pebbles or sea pebbles. And to represent water when necessary for rituals, I tend to use seashell or a simple glass of water. The last physical element we got is earth, corresponding to the cardinal direction of north. The color related to earth is black, but also russet, olive, and citrine when we need to dive deeper into hermeticism. Earth is corresponding to the season of winter, of course, and the magical weapon or magical sword related to earth is the pentacle, sometimes also called the disc. We are going to call upon the element of earth for magical uses when we need to manifest physical things. stabilize situations, and also often for protection and defense. Some of the easiest herbs you can use to connect with the element of earth are any kind of grain or flower, even parsley, mugwort, apples, and we also find sage for many uses. The traditional metal associated to earth is lead, but you can also have great results with any sort of heavy metal. In general, some of the corresponding crystals to earth are jade, jasper, and hematite, malachite, or in my opinion even better, granite, marble, even better, standard stones or salt. Of course, rock salt is even better if you can find some. I generally use a pinch of salt, dirt, or a simple stone to represent the element of earth when I need to do so in rituals. At this point, we will very briefly, discuss the importance of the element of spirit in elemental magic. Spirit is either active or passive, is very rarely used in actual spell work, especially in candle magic, in a direct spell. Spirit is actually the force that holds the elements together in the structure of the pentagram, while also allowing all of the different elements to exist separately from one another. But we need to learn about the element of spirit, because we will need to use the element of spirit to activate or banish the other elements sufficiently to using his power, especially when we are going to use specific rituals that of course we are going to learn, but after we've learned and practiced spell work. So there will be no correspondences quoted here for spirit, because we are not going to directly work with it. Just remember that spirit is the force we will use to activate or banish all the other elements in spell work and or in rituals. At this point, I am going to ask you again to use this video to take careful notes, and I hope I will see you in the next video, where we will talk about planetary correspondences. Before diving into actual spell work, actual candle magic, we are going to need to understand at least the basic correspondences of the planets. So, waiting for you, as always, I deeply thank you for your kind attention, and may eternal light. Shine on.